Hey guys, welcome back. I'm David, and this is my little shop here where I build E-War guitars. And in this video, it's going to be episode number 8 of the series I'm doing building this guitar. As you can see, I just buffed it and polished it and everything, just to try to give you a look at it here. This is one we've been working on in this whole series. I call it the SR22. But in this particular video, we're going to see me carving this neck and doing the final fitment of the neck into the body. So I hope you stay tuned, and I hope you like it. Okay, so I'm getting ready to mark the neck. I've got the fingerboards on, frets are in, haven't been polished, but they're in, and they've been trimmed and filed the length, and fret markers and all that stuff is done. So now I'm going to get ready and I'm going to lay this out for cutting my the profile of the neck. So what I do at the first fret, I go 81/100ths of an inch. So I've got my neck laying on its side. I got a square to come from the center of the radius. Okay, and I've got 8/100ths or 80/100ths. Oops, I just slipped. I'll go back and set this at 80 or 800 thousandths. That's basically it right there. Poke a little hole in there and mark it. So that's 800 thousandths at the first fret. Now that's going to be the final, that'll be the final thickness. Of course, I'm going to cut it on the bandsaw first, and I'm going to leave plenty of extra. And up here at the 12th fret, I do 900 thousandths. So that's going to be right about there. Oop. So that's the mark there. Now I'm going to get my straight edge, which I left over here. So this is basically going to set the taper for the neck. And I'm going to cut this on the bandsaw, but I'm leaving plenty of room to sand it and shape it finally by hand. I'm just getting rid of the bulk of the material. Now I also want to mark the back of the neck for where it's going to join. So that rule ain't long enough. Okay, so that's basically 4 3/4 from where it touches the neck. Did I get that in there? So this is, I'm actually going to mark 4 13/16 from the end of the heel. Four 13/16 right there. So that's the absolute do not cross line either. So I'm actually probably going to come up here, I'll probably come about a 1/2 inch away from there. And this one, I'm going to curve like so. Like I said, this is purely just cutting with the bandsaw for now. And then up here, of course, here's my volute that I sanded out. That was sanded on my spindle sander, and that's the 2-inch sleeve on the spindle sander. So this one's going to come, and I think for now I'll probably do it about like so. Like I said, this is just rough. This volute's probably going to wind up getting cut down quite a bit from here too. So anyway, so that's my my rough line. I'm going to cut with the bandsaw, and then I'm going to bring it over to my sander, and I'm going to sand it a little bit closer. Then I'm going to clamp it in my jig and get my rasp and actually do the final curve and everything with that. So Anyway, I'm going to set up on the bandsaw. We'll hit that next. So here I'm at the bandsaw. It's a little tricky on this end. You got to kind of hold the neck basically level so you get a nice square or even cut on the thing. But it's really not too bad. Once you get past the headstock past the table, it's not too bad at all. I just basically follow that line, trying to keep it, see when it drops down, then you can make sure you run it right and true. Of course, I give myself at least a 1/16 of an inch to take off later by hand. Now I got my little rigid belt sander, table belt sander. And I just run it back and forth. And I basically use the two radiuses on the ends of the belt sander to set my the radiuses of the curves on both the headstock end and the heel end of the net. Get that thing out of the way. This is the fastest way I found to get it all working pretty close. There I was shaping the volute a little bit more too. A little bit big still. Not much, but a little. A little bit big there too. Not too much. Pretty close. So I think we're very close. That's basically what it looks like at this point. I still got a ways to go down here, but I'm probably going to go ahead and fit it into the guitar body first and kind of fine tune those marks right there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this a couple times. Just a little piece of 120. Put it right on the edge here. I'm going to swipe it across that heel a little bit. Not too much. It's a super tight fit. And I do that on purpose. Now when I'm sanding it, I'm actually trying to taper it slightly this way. I'm only going to do a couple swipes on it because I want this to stay tight. But it was a little too tight. You start off with it really tight, and by the time you get it put in and taken out as many times as I'm gonna, it'll loosen up to a nice spot. Still a little bit tight. So I just keep working it back and forth and testing it and refitting it until it finally fits in there. You don't have to take too much. That 120 will take a lot of wood off. Snug, but not too tight. Now I'll take this and I'll mark out for sure where it's going to join. So I'll be able to sand this a little bit better. And I could also see here, remember from before I left this heel thicker than I wanted to. So now I'll be able to take probably another 1/16 of an inch off of that to drop the face of the fretboard down to the top of the guitar where I want it. I usually want less than a 1/16 of the mahogany showing right here. So anyway, but I'll get to that. First I'm going to continue shaping on this neck a little bit on the sander to get that to be a little closer. So now I'm just going to go back to my belt sander and hit those corners a little bit just to knock it down to save me a little bit of rasping time. This is a lot easier, and you're not getting it right on, you're just getting it close. So now I've got the neck over here in my little hold down jig I got for carving necks. That's my Shinto rasp. That thing is an amazing tool. It'll take a lot of meat off real quick. That's why I wear gloves too, because it's sharp on both sides of the thing. One's a little coarser and the other side's a little finer. And I just keep working it back and forth. And when I get up around the volutes, I start working with my little curved rasp. Just kind of keep working it and feeling it. It's all by feel now. You want to get all those different shapes to blend in really nice. Then I'll move on after this to sanding. And I'll take after it with my little DA sander. That's an 80 grit disc in there. Now I'm going after it with my 6-inch DA sander, and that's got a 80 grit pad on it too. Use this for the longer areas, and it helps to keep everything flat. So once you feel pretty good about the thickness and the general shape and feel, and of course I'll check it with my, I got a couple little templates I checked the curve with and everything. Then you start going after it by hand. Just keep working it back and forth. I think I'm still using 80 grit sandpaper here. A lot of hand work in the neck to make it all flow nice and feel good. You just keep sanding away at it. Now the heel fit, I'm not going to finish that until it's mounted in the body, and I'll carve the body and the heel of the neck together at one time. So I'm getting ready to set the final depth of my heel. I think I've talked about it before that I leave the heel a bit thick. Let's see if I can get the right angle there to show you this. But you can see I've got the fretboard is too high above the body of the guitar to fit this particular bridge I have, and this is a hip shot string through type bridge. Anyway, so the way I do this is once the neck is this far along, I set it in place, okay? I lay my bridge on the body where it's going to go, and I measure, it's a 25-inch scale length, so I'm going to go 12.5 inches from the 12th fret. And I'm going to set my bridge pieces right there at that 12.5. Okay, let me do that again. I slid. 12.5 right there. So that's the distance there. So now I'm going to take my straight edge and I'm going to lay it down the center of the frets. Okay, and I'm going to measure. Now these bridge pieces are set at their lowest height. So I'm going to measure from here to the saddle, right where the string is going to go through, and I'm going to drop the neck to where the saddle, rather where the straight edge laying on top of the frets, will just about touch the top of the saddle V when the saddle is at its lowest point. So that should give me plenty of room to raise it up and set the proper action height for my guitar. Well, thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I want to say thank you to all the subscribers that have been following along with this little guitar series. I really appreciate you all hitting the like button and making the nice comments you've been making. And I appreciate you new subscribers too. I seem to pick up a couple every week. And I just want to tell you welcome, and I really appreciate it. And I hope you all get something out of this. And anyway, if this is your first video you've seen of mine and you think you dig this sort of thing, how about you come back and check it out again. I'll be dropping a new video to YouTube every Thursday. And I'll finish out this series and then I'll start another one. Anyway, so thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all next time.